is hosting a press conference to update residents and business community and all stakeholders about the current water situation. Let's take you there live.
Is not as promising or is not too promising regarding rain. 2018 was the driest January in many years, followed by January 2021 as the second driest January in many years. The Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality, as you know, is restricted by the Department of Water and Sanitation to only extract 268 million liters per day. Currently, as a city, we are consuming about 300 million liters per day, which is not acceptable. I was told that for us to be able to manage things better, we must be able to use 250 million a day. Our short-term intervention in all this crisis, because I always say we have not reached in this city day zero. We reached day incompetence before this current administration took over. When I say day incompetence, the incompetence of leadership, in particular political leadership, to take control of the situation. Now, as the first citizen of the city, the mayor, I'm taking control of the situation first myself and try and create an environment conducive for our professional staff to be able to perform their duties. Because our professional staff have always advised the city on what needs to be done to make sure that we do not reach a crisis. But there was a gap of leadership which was unable to listen and also provide leadership in this regard. I've given them support to make sure that all the blockages in as far as the supply chain management system in augmenting our things, we deal with them. Therefore, this city have never reached day zero yet, but it was day incompetence, inability to assist quickly those who are water practitioners to do things with speed. You will hear in the report the areas where they need help. So for that reason, that last week I had a meeting with National Treasury, discussing with them the importance of them bringing back the rollover of the 188 million rand of the drought funding. Because that's the level of incompetence of people who have allowed a situation where we lose 188 million rand without helping these professionals here. Therefore, we took an initiative to engage National Treasury. I'm so happy to announce that National Treasury is willing to listen. And they've put up a process to say they're going to make sure that they listen to this, because drought is a problem. It's not only a Nelson Mandela problem. Therefore, National Treasury, as a very impartial institution and a responsible institution, they understand what it means to us. Because it might affect a number of water projects that relate to water augmentation. And if we don't do that, we might have a bigger crisis. Therefore, I'm happy that the meeting I had with National Treasury last week, the officials were there. They were so positive that they're going to try and assist us. When I mean that we have not reached day zero, and we did not reach day zero, we reached day incompetence, the incompetence of those in leadership and their inability to do what is necessary to those who are in the political office. Our short-term intervention, the things we want to do short-term with our residents. One is that we want to make sure that we do leak identification and repairs. We have completed 27,000 915 water leaks and that were repaired since April 2020, 4,580 new leaks as at the 26th of January 2021. Remember, the issue of leaks, it's a moving target because of old infrastructure. Therefore, the old infrastructure, as we're fixing other leaks, there are other beds somewhere in which we need to maintain and manage. Therefore, that's why you see this. That's why we must have a robust campaign to deal with leaks, because our residents are saying, whilst you're saying we have a water crisis, we have leaks that are mushrooming all over. Therefore, what we have to do and what we're going to put up is a plan to robustly deal with the leak problem into our city. The Mbofu Dam barge is operational now, which is giving us 30 million liters of water. I learned that mega per day, mega and million is the same thing. You must understand that when I studied biblical studies, Umarko and Luca. Therefore, it's another intervention in the Mbofu Dam, the barge. The grass reach temporary treatment works provide us 35 million liters of water. We want to maximize the Noordgedacht supply zone, a pump station, by June 2021. The groundwater boreholes provide us, or they're going to provide us 15 million liters of water, excluding Kuchakop. We are going to put up an awareness campaign because it's important. We must do this with residents. Many of our residents, they have this thinking that they can consume water as they wish because they pay for the water. Colleagues, if all of us, we are not going to behave differently and social distance to water abuse, there's something called social distancing to water abuse, we might find ourselves into a crisis. Therefore, we must social distance to water abuse and use water in a way that would sustain the activities of the city for a longer period of time. Because if we do not do that, we'll wake up one day, opening your tap and there's no water. Now we're being proactive here to say we want to work with our people to make sure that that day does not arrive in Nelson Mandela. We can do it by starting this process with our residents. There will be public campaigns. Councillor Zindo and the professionals here will be on radio, they will be everywhere, we'll buy slots, we'll put up billboards, we'll put up adverts, we'll put everything to take our people along. We are going to engage with business, we are going to engage with labor, we are going to engage with communities. We will start even in our building reducing the water consumption. Therefore, it will be a bigger campaign for all of us. One of the problems we have, I'm sure the gentlemen are going to talk about, is that the major leaks that we have in the city are coming from our schools. And that is one of the aspects that we should deal with. Worked with the Department of Education, and I'm sure there's a plan they briefed me about that they are going to table here to make sure that the leaks that we get from our schools, we have to make sure that we deal with that situation and manage our water system better. Water usage restrictions will be introduced. Water usage restrictors will be installed. Am I correct?
Yes.
We are going to install water usage restrictors. When there are people arriving there in your home and putting these water system restrictors, you must understand these are the people who are trying to help us fight the battle that is not caused by us. It's not caused by Barry Martin. It's not caused by Joseph. It's not caused by myself. It's caused by nature. Like COVID-19. COVID-19 was caused by nature. Drought was caused by nature. Now we are mitigating nature now, and we should be doing it together to make sure that we save livelihoods and save lives. Therefore, domestic customers who use more than 15 kiloliters per month are going to get that. You get your own restrictor. Because if you use more than that, meaning you are abusing water, it should start with the mayor and go to the MMC, go to Mr. Nzatsire, go to Barry Martin, go to all councillors, go to the president of the business chamber, and all other CEOs in business here, our schools and our churches, and all of us, we should take responsibility in relation to this. Basic water standpipes and water tanks and water trucks will be available. Therefore, they're going to have to explain that to our communities as part of our intervention. We'll make sure that people get water in areas where there are difficulties. Our emergency water supply, our medium-term interventions from 3 months to 12 months, it's a Nqaba low-level scheme phase 3 that will be introduced, rolled out. Our planned completion for this will be June 2021. I think I mentioned that. We're full commissioning in September 2021. The total peak supply of this will be 210 liters of water. 210 million liters, please,
Per day.
million liters of water per day.
Yes.
Then those who are highly educated in water, then mega liters. Longer term intervention from 3 months to 24 months. The Kukakop water treatment works. What we're going to do, we're going to commence the commencement of the construction by June 2020. Meaning this Kukakop water treatment works will commence the construction of it by June 2020. 26 months construction period. Planned completion is September 2022. The total capacity will be 15 million liters of water. Here it comes, day incompetence and day zero. Now, how we're going to be charged is how we help our professionals to be able to complete in these time frames. That's why I had to engage National Treasury. We had to engage National Treasury to assist us that we are able to proceed with this development. The desalination of seawater, the Kucha Special Economic Zone, which will contribute 15 million megaliters. Look, they've been talking for years about Kucha. This Kucha desalination plant, I went only for 1 week. 1 week in Kucha. 1 week. One meeting in Kucha. I've approved that thing. One meeting. Because their incompetency is an inability of those who are in position of power to take decisions in time to make sure that these things. I went in only 1 week, 1 day in Kucha. And I said the idea is great. Because if you have an investment like Kucha, look, Transnet is going there, and many other investments are going there. You have an investment like this that comes to your shores. You are able as Kucha to go to America, go to Germany, go to Japan, go to China, and say, in our industrial zone, we can provide water on our own. Can you see that, Greg? Because that's what investors are looking for. Are you able to provide sustainable water independently? Many of the industrial zones in the world have the capacity to do so. I just told those people, the next council, when we have an ordinary council, will approve the agreement. The city manager, as I speak with you, with the CEO of Kucha, they are busy working on this. The second phase in a desalination plant, the municipality is also having its process to develop its own desalination plant. And I think they are also going to reflect a bit into what we're talking about there. Which is, that one is Skumaka Scope. You can't take a person from Wazakele High School and think it's going to be there like this one from Hillside. Skumaka Scope, 30 million megaliters. 15 million megaliters as a startup. I got 29 more. Meaning, we are going to build our own capacity, and I think Perry, they're going to explain we are building up that 15 million liters from Kucha. Remember, Kucha is not going to use the entire water. The remaining portion of the water will be distributed to us as a city to augment this water. But we are introducing our own desalination plant of 30 million liters of water. Therefore, with those few words from the scientist, Mr. Nqaba, thank you very much. And I'm going to give over to Perry, to Joseph, and then Perry, and then Councillor Zindo, and then we'll allow questions. They are going to give you a broad presentation. Therefore, you must interrogate this presentation. You can even ask difficult questions. Today is to brief you in the main as media for you to be equipped in understanding our water crisis in Nelson Mandela. It is not more like the fanfare of the media. It's all about you, to take you through, for you to understand each and every detail that we're doing. Ask difficult questions as difficult. It's like a meeting. It's not only like a press conference. It's like a meeting with you to take you through. Mr. Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor, MMC.
It's a family meeting.
Councillors, colleagues, as well as the media. Thank you very much. Today we'll be doing a presentation, and in the presentation, obviously, we'll be touching aspects mainly on two areas. Firstly is the water outlook, as I call it, the status of our drought currently. And the second aspect, most importantly, is the intervention which the city is actually putting up in order to mitigate, the drought that is upon us. In the main, our presentation or the interventions are in two parts. Firstly, is the water augmentation part, and secondly, as well, is the water consumption reduction. What we have learned over, in fact, in the city, every 4 years, experience has shown us that there is a drought every 4 years, and the lesson that we have derived out of that has taught us that we must build a city that has water resilient resources going forward. And in our presentation, we demonstrate that, in trying to mitigate and manage and build a water resilient city, we're going to have, water mixes that will be able to actually reduce, our risk of exposure to, various drought elements. So it is important in the major aspect which we want to launch today that the water demand reduction becomes part of a collaborative effort that is between the municipality, stakeholders and consumers out there, that we reduce consumption in order for us to be able to meet the 250 megalitres which the mayor has spoken about. For us to sustainably continue to provide water into the future, we need to reduce our consumption from 300 to about 250 megalitres on a daily basis. Our water footprint should be able to match that for us to continue to have water for each and every citizen, as well as business stakeholders in the city. So Mr. Barry Martin is going to do the presentation. Barry, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Acting ED and Executive Mayor, MMC, colleagues and members of the media. I'll just take off my mask so I can speak more clearly. I'll try and go through the presentation as quick as can. I'm going to try and do all the detail behind it that the Mayor has referred to, and I'll try and be as brief as possible. That just covers our introduction and where we are at this point in time. I think a lot of time we as South Africans are realizing that we are termed as one of the 30 most water scarce countries in the world, but it's like it becomes too easy to roll off the tongue. And do we really pay attention to this? I mean, I even want to say, do we really teach this even to our school children, to say that water is a priority in our society? And I think with COVID-19 has just heightened the need, just from a healthcare point of view, how important the water requirements are. I spoke to a doctor recently, and he says just by moving from one part of a hospital to the other part of the hospital today, they actually have to strip down, shower, and then get dressed again to move into the other part of the hospital. So just kind of see idea of how much water is being consumed currently in those environments. We are the metropolitan municipality of just under 200,000 hectares, and we're part of the Sarah-Baartman district area. I think that this slide has probably become quite prominent recently with all of the rain that has happened in the Gauteng region, at KwaZulu-Natal, and even in the Free State area, and the amount of water that's going around down the Orange River, and spectacularly over the Garib Dam and the Nqaba's waterfall as well. But lo and behold, all the major dams are full, and even in Cape Town, their average dams are above 70% as such. Eastern Cape, on average, is about 55%, but the western part of the Eastern Cape, that we are the worst off, and we are below 20%. That just indicates how much the water that we always speak about, the 450 kilometers from the Garib Dam to our metropolitan area, for the water to travel, for us to use the water, treat the water Nooitgedacht and bring it to our citizens. So that is the bulk water from Nooitgedacht that I just spoke about. The Sand River is probably about 100 years old, and that is just brings a very small percent, around about 1% of our water. Groendal is dedicated to half of Uitenhage for water supply, and then our biggest water supply dedicated to the metro is actually the Church Limpopo system, and then supported by Luri. And when looking to put this into context, there's the springs as well. And then there's the track that we have of our average dam levels being at 17.55%. This is not good at all. We were that low, just even a bit lower than that in September 2 years ago, and we hope we can recover from there. We recovered recently around November when it went up to about 22%, but we dropped, and the recent hot weather hasn't done us any favors. So the combined storage is as depicted there. Since about September 2018, we've been on tariff level B. We have tightened some water restrictions over the last period of time, and I'll just touch briefly on them a bit later on. That is what our Mpofu Dam looks like at the moment, and you can see the level is way down, very, very low. And in the Mpofu Dam, you can see since about 2019, it's been hovering below 20% virtually. And I mean, that is for 2 years already. And at that time, we deliberately just kept the water there. We kept the barge idling there until recently, where we had to start using that barge to get water out of that dam as well. That is the Nqaba Dam, and that Nqaba Dam has now dropped below 8% already. And this is obviously of great concern to us, although we only get a small allocation of that, about 17 megs per day from the system. This is for a lot of agricultural use as well. Then looking at the dam capacity trends in Nqaba, you can see how it climbed a bit slightly there in September, November last year, but now it's starting to drop again. Just to put all of this in context, since basically 1900s, shall I say the 1950s, there's been a steady decline in the average rainfall since then. You can see the spikes up and down, but the blue line there indicates you the average rainfall. But with that also our population is growing consistently. But obviously we must also realize that since 1994, we have provided an increased level of service to many communities who did not have access to basic services. And this is also provided and call it an abnormal demand on our water supply system. Going forward, they also predict by 2035 that the population might double, but it's also indicated by 2050, 50% of the whole of South Africa will be staying in our cities. So just imagine what migration, that impact will have on our water resources as well. We've been working very closely with the Department of the South African Weather Services on looking at the weather predictions. Now, this picture has actually become worse over the last month or so. If I just take a minute here, you can see the green area. We're actually looking for dark green because that is above normal rainfall. Here where our catchments are, there is no clear signal for rainfall. So essentially, we're not having rainfall there. No clear signal means we could have rain as well, but that has been no clear signal for the last 3-4 months, and no rain has fallen. Significant rain has fallen. So don't take the no clear signal that we might rain. I mean, the last 3 months has proven we did not have rain, and here's another thing coming about below normal rainfall for us as well. So we're not in a very good position as well. So what does this mean? Ironically, Weather Service has indicated because of the prolonged drought and low rainfall that we've had, we're hitting a lot of statistics at the lowest rainfall, the longest period for significant rain, all of those kind of statistics. And this is typically in 2021, the lowest rainfall for January ever, 11%. And this is since the 1900s virtually. We had 2 millimeters of rain for February. I mean, for the last 3-4 days already, they predicted a rainfall with us. Only virtually last night there was a bit of a downpour. So you can see that we're not in a very good position currently when it comes to rainfall. The Weather Service has also indicated for a weather event to make a significant change or impact on our dam levels, we need something like 50 millimeters of rain in a 24-hour period. And this kind of rainfall events, they've checked, and it has only happened on these occasions historically in the different months of the year. So the probability of us actually having above 50 millimeter event is concentrated between May and August of the year. Now we can say also we're all right for now, we can wait until then. But it's too risky. We can't wait until then and hope that we'll have rain. We have to preserve what we have currently. So based on our license abstractions, basically our water restrictions imposed by the Department of Water and Sanitation is 70% from the Nqaba system. So we only get 30% of our water, of our normal allocation from there. And that is 18 megaliters per day. And when we run the plant at Luri, we only run it from about 9 o'clock at night to about 5 o'clock in the morning. Then we've had our daily allocation. And of that 17 megs to 18 megs per day that we treat, 12 to 15 megaliters of water goes straight into Kwanabushle, because that's the first takeoff point. And only that bit that's remaining will go then into Chelsea Reservoir. I will expand on that a bit later on as well, the impact thereof. Then from here, we have 50% on the Impofu Dam. So we're only getting 50% water from there. But what is significant is that because that's our only, call it water that's dedicated to us, we've actually over-abstracted that source. And I'll show you the statistics relating to that and the impact that that has on the available water. So that is the putting the percentages into actual volume. It means we only have 268 megaliters of water a day available. But what are we consuming? For the month of January, December we had 266, 267 available. We consumed just under 300. Month of January, we consumed 303. And generally 280 to 290 to 300. We know that January, February, and into March are our highest, our months with our highest temperatures. So we expect this to happen. But we cannot lose our focus on the ball here. We have to keep our eye on the ball here and know what we're doing with our water and keep our water consumption down. No matter what situation we're in, whether we're at home, whether we're at work, whether we're at play, we have to save water at all times. So what does this really mean? It comes here. We've got just short of 50 megaliters of water over abstraction on a daily basis. So we're using too much water to that tune. And what does that happen? This graph actually extends what we started to calculate for each water resource. Because we're taking 70 megaliters of water out of Churchill and Impofu per day at that abstraction rate, how long will that water actually last us? At these abstraction rates, based on the restrictions, it will last us for more than a year. But with the increased amount of abstraction that we're actually taking, it will be much shorter than that. And this is the dilemma where we are facing at the moment. We are reasonably on track with the other resources, but it's the Churchill Impofu system that is at risk, as the biggest risk. So what are we doing on the way forward? We have prepared a drought mitigation plan, and with that, we've made funding applications to the Department of COCTA, the Disaster Management Center, and through that we have received various batches of funding, and some of that the Executive Mayor has referred to. And we've looked at the detail in terms of our short-term interventions. We deal with the 27,900 physical leaks that we've actually repaired over the last basically 12 months virtually, and that's a continuous process, because one of the key things that our colleagues on our communications office continuously tell us, if you tell people to save water, but what are we as the municipality doing about it? So this is exactly what we're doing about it. We know that charity begins at home, and this is the detail that we have to look at. But we also have to create and ensure that we can provide water for us. So the Impofu barge, as I've indicated early on, it's operational at 30 megs per day. The Grassroots Temporary Treatment Facility is operating at 35 megs per day on average. And we've done various interventions to make the maximum use of Nooit Gedag, water at Nooit Gedag. I'll explain the Kugakop, the awareness campaign, the water restrictors also, and our ability to take water further. So we're fixing leaks all over the show in the city. I encourage all our customers to report leaks at all times, and even if you feel despondent, I urge everybody to report that water leak. get a reference number. On your cell phone these days, and everybody has these apps on their cell phone. There's a Nelson Mandela Bay app that you can log your complaint. You can even take a picture there. And so it's actually quite quick because it immediately gives you a reference number as well. So phoning and waiting for the call to be picked up, let us also use our cell phones, and that will actually just be more responsive to all our customers as well. Then, just to give you an indication that on a weekly basis, we track where all the leaks are. In what zones are they how many have come in, how many have been attended to, and what is the backlog for the week. And this, the mayor has created a dashboard where he monitors this as well for us. So on a weekly basis, we report our progress to the executive mayor's office. And so dealing with the leak identification, we rely on the 1.2 million pairs of eyes that we have in the city, and encourage everybody to report the leaks. We also have zonal meters in place and pressure reducing valves in place so that we can check where the leaks are, and even in the system with high pressures where leaks might be excessive or where water pressure might be excessive, we're actually reducing the pressures in those areas as well, so that we actually reduce the rate of leakage, and also by that saving our water. So the barges are fully operational. They're doing their work. In fact, the last drought, we actually had them aligned, but they never worked in the last drought because we didn't have a need for it. But this time around, there's been a great need for this. I'd also like to point out, in terms of the grassroots temporary treatment facilities and all these interventions, they all form part of the water master plan that was generated more than 10 years ago. And the positive thing of the water master plan is that all these interventions that was identified in 2006, 2005, 2006, we actually have rolled out. And the Nooit Gedacht low-level scheme is actually the last element of one of the interventions proposed, as well as the dealing with non-revenue water, meaning our water losses and stuff like that. So that is our ongoing business in the area. So looking at the grassroots temporary treatment facility, that is, we're taking the water through the high level system. We're actually splitting the system. There are two pipelines from Nooit Gedacht, one high level and one low level. We're putting it into the grassroots reservoir, which was designed way back in 1992, during the drought that started at 1989, in fact. And then it was designed as a temporary water treatment facility then. So what we've done this time around, we've improved the technology for treatment since 1992. We've actually allowed stirrers and to improve the coagulation of the water, the settlement of the water. We've done all of that, and therefore we are able to put slightly bit more water through the system there. And this just gives you an indication of, so at Nooit Gedacht, there are two pump stations at Nooit Gedacht, a high level pump station and a low level pump station. The low level pump station, we pump about 140 megaliters of water through the low level scheme, through the Olifantskop reservoir. And the Olifantskop reservoir, the new one, is part of the upgrade of the low level scheme. There's a 45 megaliter per day reservoir that is taken into commission now as well. So that is assisting our operations. And on the high level scheme, we're only pumping untreated water to grassroots reservoir there, where we treat the water, we disinfect it with chlorine, and we bring that water into Motherwell pump station where the two sources are blended, and from there we pump it, Motherwell pump station, Stanford Road booster, and we pump it into the Chelsea reservoir over here. And because of the deficit of water that we're getting from the Koga dam, we're only getting 17 megs per day, as I've indicated there. The Chelsea reservoir is then augmented with water from that side. And we're also putting water from this pipeline system into Uitenhage as well. Because Uitenhage does not have an alternative water supply apart from Groendal. So we're also very concerned with Groendal. And Groendal has climbed slightly over the last couple of months, and we're happy about that. But it's also, we were able to do that by pushing more water from Nooit Gedacht into the system as well. So Chelsea Reservoir, we constructing a new Kwanabushle pump station to get more water into Kwanabushle as a backup. So this is one of our drought interventions that we're busy getting prices for at the moment, and hopefully in the next month or so we will be able to start construction on that section of the work as well. Then we've spoken about walls. We got grant funding from COPTA, disaster grant funding, which we have located balls in critical areas, and the highest yielding balls are actually at Bushy Park and at Moorgrove, and these are the ones, Moorgrove actually here at St. George's, these two over here, number 1 and number 2. So those are the top priorities that we're going to focus on, and that is the other aspect that we will also getting quotes in at the moment, and we will be hopefully also be starting that in the next month. So that is the summary of all the balls that we're looking at in the area, and collectively they could add up everything probably close to 50 megalitres per day, but we will progressively develop them as funding is also available, bearing in mind that some of them will be drought related and some of them will be a bit medium to long term relating to the Kruger ones in particular. As Executive Mayor has indicated, communication in terms of awareness and call it in your face discussion about water saving is important. And unfortunately with COVID-19 on us, one of the things that we've learned with previous droughts is to have interaction, face-to-face interaction with our public. But unfortunately, a door-to-door campaign and speaking in masses to people is not on the cards during this COVID-19 time. And like having our mascot Tonsi going to school gatherings and things like that, that is not on at this point in time. So we have to look at other measures in dealing with the media and dealing with the awareness, and our communications colleagues are assisting us in dealing with that matter. So this is just looking at our water consumption trends that we have, and when our water restrictions were imposed and our consumption levels. And you can see here in 2018, when our dams were close to the lowest, we actually had the lowest water consumption of 253 megalitres per day. And because we have done it once, why can't we do it again now? So we collectively, I believe, to sustain the whole system, work towards that 250 megalitres per day. And one of the key things that I believe must happen is that water awareness and the way we deal with water today cannot end today. It's going to have to be a way of life for us all going forward. Just coming to our water restriction notice, this was already signed off last year and it was publicized already, but once again we just need to highlight what we've done. We've got teams going out now in terms of restricting flow to everybody. Anybody and everybody using more than 15 kiloliters of water per day will be restricted. I don't use more than 15 kiloliters of water per day, but I've been one of the test cases, and so has the acting ED as well. We have all got water restrictors in our house, and we for the last 3 years already been testing the devices, and it's just a disc with a hole in it. There's a picture of it, and we have to do this. And the key thing here is that the water, that is what the device looks like that we install at your water meter. And what that device does, it doesn't stop your water. All it does, it restricts the rate of flow into your property. And once you create that restriction, it drops your pressure. Any leak that you have on your property or anything related to that, it will just reduce the frequency of that leak. What does that equate to? Saving water. But remember when they introduced prepaid electricity many years ago? Because people are more aware of that number dropping 0.1 at a time every time. So this kind of restrictor that drops our pressure as soon as you open the tap will be reminded to us of saving water on an ongoing basis. On the right hand side is a flow limiting device. So those people who really don't play the game, we will install a meter like that, and the limit is set to 500 liters per household per day, and that will be your limit. And then if you use your water up for the day, there will be no more water for you until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, when that device will open up again. So the time has come for us to take harsh restrictive measures in this regard, and this all is culminated in the restriction that was promulgated already and signed off by the Office of the Executive Mayor, and we are implementing these. Also indicating that we are on our Part B of our schedule of tariffs. As you're aware, the tariff schedule is approved annually by Council as part of the budget cycle, so that is where we've been operating at the moment. This, colleagues, is what is going to happen if we are not careful. If we are not responsible in saving water, this is the type of situation we're going to find ourselves in. We're going to have to go queue with a bucket there, no matter who you are, where you are from, you're going to go queue there for your water, because there will not be enough water to keep the pipes full. So we'll fill up a tank like that, scatter them throughout the communities, and we all will have to go queue for water. No, as they say, no matter who, what color or creed you are, what your status are in society, that will not help you. You'll have to go queue for water at the end of the day. And obviously, that is not what we would like to do. We would like to prevent that kind of situation. And this to me is a bit too glamorous a picture that my colleagues has created for us. I like the rustic one, just as a reminder that it's not all rosy for us when we get to this kind of situation. And all the measures that we have mentioned in the presentation so far, the Executive Mayor has referred to, are all targeted at preventing us from getting to this state. So getting to the medium-term intervention. So at the moment, the municipality is not only looking at today, we're looking at a few months down the track. So by September this year, we hope to fully commission Nqaba, which will bring the full 210 megs per day into the system, and then we will also bring it through. But what we're also doing currently, remember I presented early on the Motherwell booster pump station and the Stanford Road booster pump station. There is already capacity built in those pump stations way back in 2010 when you constructed those pump stations for an extra pump set. So we in the procurement phase that in the next 12 to 24 months we will be installing those pumps as well as part of the system to take care of these additional water that will be coming available here as well as at Kugakop. There's the Nqaba low-level scheme. You can see the construction is substantially different from the media when we were there the last time. It might be a good idea to have a visit of the site again. And so those are all the progress that has taken place on site. Then in the long term, which to us is not even 5 years away, but more like 2 years from now, Kugakop water treatment work should be finished. The seawater desal at Kuga should also be finished, and then the Schoenmakerskop of 30 megs per day target will be also there. The ultimate of Schoenmakerskop will possibly be around 60 megs per day, but the startup of about 15 will probably be there at that present time. We've already located the sites for that as well, so that is all on track. That's the construction site at the moment. We take regular photography of the video footage of the construction site, so we'll be able to show you this kind of information on an ongoing basis. This is the schematic of the layout, what the permanent site will look like, and that's the architectural impression of the site completely. So on the desal plant from the Kuga SEZ, we have supported the Kuga Development Corporation in applying for funding to National Treasury. They've been granted about 300 million rand for the construction of the 15 meg per day plant, which means they'll construct it close to the coast here. It'll be pumped into Olifantskop Reservoir and then form part of the supply system of the NMB. What this actually means is that the Kuga SEZ will be in a unique situation. It will actually have three sources of water. It will have water from Nqaba, it will have water from the Kuga water treatment works, the boil water, and it will have desalinated seawater available for them. So the likelihood of them, of all of those three systems failing at the same time, as you can appreciate, would be rather limited. So the assurance of water supply in this construction area, as well as quite a substantial portion of the metropolitan area, will be substantially high, the assurance of supply. Then on the Schoenmakerskop desalination plant, the benefit of this plant, it's on a rocky coast here. There's a small bay here that water can take in there. The salt brine can be put over here onto the rocky area. Because of the rock nature of the shore there, the specialist has indicated we don't need a long pipeline into the sea to let the salt brine disseminate and that salt plume, as they call it, go into the sea. It will just disperse very rapidly because of the rocky nature and the turbulence that's created on the coast over here. Then the main benefit also of this location is that our Churchill pipeline is running not far from here. It's about 1 kilometer away. And also that Churchill pipeline was upgraded a couple of years ago as part of the master plan. So it's a new pipe. We have assurance that the pipe in which we will inject it is a good supply. And this water will virtually go in there, feed straight down to Summerstrand, right down to the Churchill pipeline, to Stroondale Reservoir that feeds down to Stroondale industrial area, as well right into New Brighton as well. And we'll actually put the zone valve in here, and some of the water from Churchill will go straight Seaview into Warmer Heights in that area. Others will go into Chelsea Reservoir as well, and we will create relevant zones over here. So this is how we've researched this site and its benefit and its location. And also, as we presented to National Treasury last year, the western area of the metro is also an area around Bay West and that area, which is a huge development node for the metro going forward. So with this water being generated on this side of the city, it's also that assurance of water supply for developments in the future as well. So just in summary, over the next 24 months, we will be augmenting the water supply of the metro by about 85 megalitres per day, and that will exclude the Schoenmakerskop site as well. So in probably about 2 years after that, let's take worst case scenario, we will have at least another 15 megs per day, which takes that number up to 100 megs per day. So, which changes our available water picture from sources not in the dams substantially for the metropolitan municipality. Then why do we have water shortage? We have below average rainfall. Our dams hasn't been filled since 2015, and we've got very high water consumption at this point in time. So my plea is for everybody to be water-wise at the end of the day. We don't want to go to a situation where the dams, our reservoirs are empty, whereby which we have to put up rainwater tanks and give people water from there also. I would also like to encourage customers to actually, once again, report the water leaks. There are various platforms that we can report water leaks on, and we encourage to do that. And I thank you, Executive Mayor. Thank you, colleagues. Thank you.
Yeah, get that money.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. We do not have we have 15 minutes for questions. Because I have another meeting, I think, with the Commissioner of Police. I want to arrest you. Okay. Over to you.
Yeah, please, colleagues, introduce yourselves for the benefit of the Executive Mayor and everyone else.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is two questions. First question is, tell us of the costs regarding these new meters that will be installed. And two, tell us about the people in the informal settlements. Will they have, in those communal plots, tax, will they have those meters too? And my last question is, the residents that go beyond the limited water usage, that I think is at 50 liters for a day.
Per person.
Yes. What's a standard fine that will be imposed on them? Just those three questions.
Barry? No, let's deal with that quickly. Barry and...
Yeah, we'll assist each other.
I think the cost of meters, I think I'll give to water to the informal settlements. As you can infer, the informal settlements unfortunately will not have a restrictor on, because the number of informal communities to that. But what we do have is all the meters are metered, and we will know exactly how much water is consumed at each communal tap for those informal settlements. High consumers that use more than 500 liters per household per day. Up to this point in time, people use up to something like 100 kiloliters a month. Now that's excessive. Now if you can pay a water bill of about 10,000 rand a month, that is what has happened. But at this point in time, it is irrespective of whether you can pay for the water or not. It's the availability of the water that is critical for us. And so we're putting a restrictive device in just to limit your water supply to 500 liters per day, and that will be your allocation per day.
Thank you. Just attending to the first question around the cost of the water demand management device. The cost is 3,500, and that cost plus the installation cost, it will be borne by the contravener of the water restriction notice. So what I mean, if you are consuming above 15 kiloliters per month per household, and you've been identified that we're going to install the device, you will pay for that device as well. And the second part to it, the disc itself, the metro is going to cover the cost, and mostly it's the installation cost, which is just under, I think, 400 rands for the installation, and the metro will cover the cost. Obviously this is for general deterrence. We're going to put it across all households in the metro, and the metro is going to cover for that cost. Just adding as well on what Barry said on informal settlements, because we are providing only basic water through stand party informal settlements. So we won't be able to actually restrict that flow in any case, because for basic consumption informal settlements, from an engineering perspective, those people are getting at least 25 liters per person per day. Other than that's people that are actually in formal households. Thank you.
Yeah, ma'am.
Nqaba from the Bhanga network Rainfall. Can you perhaps give us an idea of how much water the metro is losing on a daily or monthly basis through the current water leaks?
Yeah. Barry?
The average losses of water at the moment is around 25 to 30% at this point in time, and that is what we are targeting to reduce with the amount of water leaks that we are repairing at this point in time. So as we are repairing more leaks, we are expecting that percentage to go down as well.
Yeah. Kubo. Any other question? One.
Presentation is perfect.
Yes. Guy?
Yeah, just a small technical thing right at the end there. So the school microscope, as you pull the water out of the borehole, does it get treated there? Obviously it must be treated before it goes into the pipeline.
The desalination plant, if you can see on the slide there, that block that's indicated over there, that the pipe will come in there, The water will be desalinated there, will be put in a reservoir there, and from there it will be pumped through this pipeline into the Churchill pipeline and injected into the Churchill pipeline.
Okay. The first thing I want to, in closing, what we have to focus on is the fact that we have not reached day zero. Our problem is day incompetence. That's very important. That our augmentation system should be put up in place, and Barry, we should do our program in time. Therefore, implementing the way forward is that it's what my office will monitor. To make sure that our augmentation program is monitored as presented here too, that the problems with relation to leaks and our fight against leaks, it's what my office will also monitor. I've put all these things into a dashboard to monitor our capacity to implement some of these programs. I'm going to monitor our water consumption, that we have to reduce water consumption to 250 megaliters of water, 250 million liters of water. Therefore, we have to make sure that we inform our residents. They must partner with us in making sure that we win this battle again. We've done a COVID together. We want to do this with our residents. I will invite you very soon when they put the restrictors in my house. You know, you must not look into my pool and other things. But I will put restrictors myself to show that it should start with the leadership. And I'm happy that the professionals have started to lead the program. Therefore, we'll do that to make sure that we lead by example. I should start teaching my children about the importance, because we think that we know, and I was telling the MMC, the children, they do the other thing around. Teaching our children how important it is to use water and manage water differently. This is not a metro crisis. This is a natural crisis. Therefore, if we can't act differently, we are going to...
Well, we're coming out of that address in a bit. We will speak to our colleague Lerato Fekisi to give us the lowdown, but there you hear the Eastern Cape will get water usage restrictors to restrict the usage of water at this time. Let's take a shot.